Good evening and welcome to Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Bernadine Jayasinghe. Let's now take a look at headlines.
Lorry collides with 7 three-wheelers. 7 admitted to hospital in Colombo 13. Fishermen warned not to venture into sea from northwestern, western and southern seas. False statements of ruling party MPs and ministers about foreign garbage in Katunayaka. Oil from the vessel Lankan Glory that washed ashore in Galle removed. Sri Lanka won the West Asia Baseball Trophy, beating Pakistan 5-4.
Seven people were injured in an accident that occurred in Colombo 13 today.
A lorry transporting goods plying towards Gaspahar Junction in Colombo had collided onto 7 three-wheelers. Police said that preliminary investigations revealed that the accident was as a result of a failure of the brake system. Our correspondent said the lorry was stopped by barriers placed before it, with the efforts of those who were around. The driver of the lorry and his assistant have been arrested by the police.
Issuing a warning, the Department of Fisheries has advised fishing and naval communities to refrain from venturing into sea areas extending from Mannar to Puthuville via Puttalam, Colombo, Galle and Hambantota. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology says strong winds up to 50 to 55 kilometers per hour are likely over the western, southern, central Sabaragamuwa, northwestern and north central provinces and in the Trincomalee district.
The Ministry of Fisheries said that 20 multi-day fishing vessels in international waters stranded due to inclement weather had reached the Maldives. The ministry previously informed all fishermen at sea to dock their shipping vessels at the closest and safest port. The Department of Fisheries is currently in the process of communicating with these fishing vessels.
We made arrangements to divert all shipping vessels to the Maldives due to close proximity. All fishermen and naval vessels are in safe grounds. We have warned all fishermen to refrain from engaging in coastal activities.
Meanwhile, the National Building Research Organization has issued a red alert landslide notice advising locals in the Imbulpe Divisional Secretariat in Ratnapura, the Kotmale area in Norelia and Udapalate in Kandy to evacuate to safer locations immediately. The National Building Research Organization further said that the landslide warnings issued for the Ratnapura, Norelia, Kegalle, Kandy, Kalutara, Matara and Galle districts are still in effect. The Disaster Management Center said 52 families residing in the Kurusapadua area in Chilav have been temporarily evacuated due to rough seas. The families have been relocated to the Chilav Vella Roman Catholic Church.
We want everyone to evacuate to safer grounds, but many refuse to do so. However, I request them to take the necessary items and leave as soon as possible. 960 individuals of 250 families are being relocated. 174 houses and 25 shops have been damaged due to the inclement weather.
One person was killed in Overkanda Rathkama when a tree collapsed on him while riding his motorcycle. The victim was identified as a 41-year-old resident of Wakwalla. During the past 72 hours, a total of 8 people were killed due to inclement weather conditions and landslides. A house in Narangala, Paragoda, Uyangoda in Matara was heavily damaged due to a falling tree. Our correspondent said one individual sustained injuries. The Ceylon Electricity Board said power supply to 120,000 houses in the Gaul and Mathura districts was disrupted due to the prevailing inclement weather. It added that operations are currently underway to restore the power supply.
Further details in connection with the garbage consignments shipped to Sri Lanka from foreign countries are being exposed.
We were able to see the mattresses and carpets that were with the waste. We were able to see the number of containers. As per what the company said, this has arrived in the country as a mistake. After inspections, we informed that garbage has been sent back to the country that it came from. Although the officials of the Central Environmental Authority made such statements regarding the container consignment on the 17th of this month, more details have now come to light. The Consumer Affairs Authority has released footage of waste material being dumped in the Katanaika Free Trade Zone to the media. The footage shows the manner in which liquid and solid waste piled up at the location being released into the environment. The Central Environmental Authority further adds that the site does not have a waste disposal system in place and garbage particles carried away by air is polluting the surrounding environment. Meanwhile, issuing a press release yesterday, the Central Environmental Authority said that the garbage consignment was imported by Haley's Free Zone Limited, located in the Katunaika Export Processing Zone number 4. The Central Environmental Authority adds that the company had not obtained the required environmental protection license and hazardous waste management license. The Central Environmental Authority said 130 containers containing 27,685 metric tons of industrial waste were amassed across an area reaching up to 50,000 square feet. The CEA said that orders have been issued to send the garbage back to the country from which they were imported from, as hazardous waste cannot be imported into the country according to the National Waste Management Policy. The Central Environmental Authority also said that according to the gazette issued on the 11th of July 2013, this company operated within the Katunaika Export Processing Zone as a re-export activities center. According to the gazette, if a company or institution is to be established, a minimum of 65% of the total investment must be funded through foreign sources. The gazette further states that the new company and the Board of Investment must sign a minimum investment agreement amounting to $5 million or 878.9 million rupees. It is clear that this gazette was issued to fulfill the personal objectives of one or two businessmen. One cannot quantify the damage caused by these garbage containers. Waste is discarded into waterways because of the rain. The government must intervene and re-export these garbage containers from Sri Lanka immediately. Meanwhile, 102 garbage containers are currently held at the CICT terminal of the Colombo port, while the Department of Customs is due to make a statement to the media on Monday, the 22nd of July. The Deputy Minister said yesterday that those responsible will be arrested. But are these arrests taking place? Why is there a delay in implementing the law? We know how a fine of 6,000 to 8,000 rupees was imposed when a set of polythene was burnt. These type of measures are good. This is what needs to be done. But why isn't the law imposed on a high-level crime in this manner? Immediate action should be taken against these organizations. Those responsible should be arrested. If these companies have the power to control the law and the relevant authorities, it is a huge problem. We know that officers of these companies live in pleasant areas in Colombo and other luxurious places. But these organizations alone, bringing down waste material from foreign countries. Ask them to take this garbage and dump it in their own gardens. Licenses of these companies should be cancelled. Re-exporting this garbage back to its originated country is not the only solution. While it's being re-exported, those responsible should be severely punished and their licenses should be cancelled.
Haley's Free Zone Limited issued a statement responding to allegations raised against them with regard to the importation of garbage containers.
The statement says that the company has no connection to the cargo that is lying at the port of Colombo. It adds that Haley's Free Zone Limited is not the importer, nor the consignee, nor logistics service provider in respect of the said containers. The said shipments were sent to HFZ by the importer for the purposes of processing and re-export. Some such cargo has already been processed and re-exported. End quote. The statement goes on to note that the containers received by HFZ did not contain any garbage or other waste material as alleged in several media reports. In its press release, Haley's Free Zone seems to be going to great lengths to explain that it isn't an importer and is therefore not responsible for the haul of garbage discovered at the Haley's Free Zone in Katunaika. If a company knows that there is hazardous material that has been illegally imported and stored for many years in its own facility, then it is imperative that a responsible company would report such activity and cease such operations. It is very suspicious that this organization hasn't done this and instead chosen to offer implausible, childish excuses once it has been openly exposed by the authorities and media.
Instead of implementing the law against those who imported waste material dumped at the Katunaika Free Trade Zone and the garbage containers which have created much controversy, politicians are now playing the blame game.
Legal permission has been granted by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa to Dhammika Pereira to bring down garbage to the island. Permission was granted by the president of the previous regime. He held various top positions in organizations during the Rajapaksa tenure. He worked closely with Mahinda Rajapaksa and the family, and as a result, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa gave political bribes to Dhammika Pereira to make him happy. President Maithripala Sirisena is the Minister of Mahaweli Development and Environment today. We request him to immediately take action in this regard.
පරිසර පොලිසිය ඇවිල්ලා අල්ලගෙන ගිහිල්ලා අද්දඩයක් ගහලා ඉරේ දාලා නඩු දාලා මහා ලොකු විකාරයක් කරනවා. දැන් මේක මහා ජාතික අපරාධයක්. දැනට පවතින ආණ්ඩුවේ හැටියට ඔබතුමාලගේ මොකද්ද මේක ඇත්තටම ගන්න අපේ රටේ ස්වභාවයක්.
As you said, the law is being implemented on different people in different ways. The law being imposed on big companies is different. The way the rich are treated is different. So this has been happening from the past. This must come to an end.
Meanwhile, during a media briefing today, State Minister Ashok Abesinghe was questioned by journalists regarding investigations into the importation of garbage.
The CID has been given the task to investigate this matter and to find out how the consignment was released from customs, the importers responsible in this regard, and how the consignment was placed at its current location. We have informed the CID and the police about this matter. The Central Environmental Authority has launched an investigation as well. The government will take action and punish those responsible. Despite the statements made by the State Minister in Kurunagala this morning that investigations in this regard were handed over to the Criminal Investigations Department, Police media spokesperson SP Ruan Gunasekara confirmed that such a complaint or order was not received by the CID even by 2:30 p.m. Are such false statements made to protect the businessmen responsible for the importation of garbage into Sri Lanka? Should not the government take action against those who make such false statements to the media?
Welcome back to the news. In more local news, a public debate under the theme "Is a provision of land deeds a lottery or a disaster?" was held at the Mahaweli Centre yesterday. The event was organised by the Movement for Land and Agriculture Reform.
The problems faced by farmers will be solved. their lands will get a deed. Simultaneously, the US government will provide $480 million under the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement to facilitate this. Is this the true picture? Are these measures genuinely taken for the benefit of the farmers? The present government is yet to provide land deeds to those living in estates who have been requesting for deeds over the past several decades. The government is yet to provide deeds to those in Kepapilau who have been protesting on the streets for over 600 days, demanding for their land. However, the government is now rushing to give land deeds to farmers. In the recent past, the Prime Minister has said that if the land deeds matter does not go ahead, he will take to the streets with the people. We have never witnessed the Prime Minister take any matters to the street. The government is determined to approve the act somehow or the other. We are questioned whether we are against the provision of land deeds, but we question everyone. Will these land deeds be sufficient for farmers to retain their land? The World Bank and the IMF are clearly playing a role in everything we do. Though the present government is in power, they cannot do anything. They are controlling the government. They have already prepared their own agendas. The IMF, the World Bank, together with China, Japan, India and America, are already involved in this process. When we analyze their policies, it is evident that giving land deeds cannot be a lottery. This is clearly a disaster.
The Panduwas Nuwara Hettipulla weekly market was vested in the public today under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
This weekly market was constructed with a cost of 155 million rupees allocated by the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development. Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development Partili Champika Ranawaka, Minister Akila Viraj Karyawasam, MP Tushar Indunil and several others were also present at this event.
New towns are being developed. New trains will be brought down. Within 3 months of the April 21st attacks, stability has been brought back to the country. In May, tourists weren't coming into the country. Now that number is slowly climbing up. This month, 100,000 tourists are expected to visit the island. In August, that number is expected to increase. We are hopeful that by December or January, the tourism sector will recover.
In order to hear and understand the true voice of the people, you must replace your helicopter rides with walk on the same roads the common man toils through his daily life. A heart-to-heart conversation with the people can help you understand the blood and tears they shed in order to make their lives a little better. In a country so focused on development through the utilization of high-power technology, in our journey we met over 10,000 families who haven't been fortunate to benefit from these winds of change. Come at the Door-to-Door initiative filed this report.
Come at the Gain Getter.
Folklore says that Mathale got its name because of the mountains that stand tall and high surrounding this valley. Many of these mountains are the hidden enclave of the source of pure waterfalls. In such a backdrop, is it plausible that people in this area walk miles in search of water? The Akarahadua village is situated on the boundary of the Boathana reservoir. In a twist of fate, even with the reservoir flowing right before their eyes, the villagers have to source their water from small wells. In an age where there is access to clean drinking water at our fingertips, in the village of Akarahadua, Mathale, we saw people digging wells in search of water. The health sector of this country is tasked with ensuring the health and well-being of the general public. Ironically, it is by the hand of the health sector that the water of the Boathana reservoir is being made not fit for human consumption. The villagers state that medical waste is being continued to be dumped into the Boathana reservoir. These villagers cannot comprehend elaborate plans that have been drawn to build this nation. The accessibility to clean drinking water, that is a very basic human need, is all these villagers ask for. The villagers in Lihinipitia too are facing the same problem. They lack water to even tend their cultivations. When the sun comes out, they are faced with the challenge of quenching their thirst with a sip of clean water. When the sun goes down and stars set in, the villagers are faced with the threat of roaming elephants destroying their cultivations. Another gum at the team toured Gaul, Vallipitiya and Vanduragala today. Families in this area contribute over 3,000 kilos of paddy during the Yala and Maha seasons to the nation. But today, these people stare at their barren lands with no hope in their eyes and no food in their stomach. This is because 30 acres of their cultivations did not receive water on time. The sun beat down on us mercilessly as we visited each and every household in Kudiruppu, Kilinochi. The heat was unbearable to us, but 103 families live here without proper access to drinking water and no shelter above their heads. Despite all odds, they have no choice but to live in this insufferable heat. In the quest of finding drinking water, the villagers have to walk at least 2 kilometers in the scorching sun. While politicians are wrapped up in their own worlds where they have niggling brawls over development schemes, we met people who fought over a drop of water to quench their thirst.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has requested licensed banks and non-bank financial institutions to reduce interest rates on deposits made by small and medium enterprises, in particular with effect from 29th April 2019.
Interest rates on savings and other deposits with 10 years less than 3 months offered by licensed banks and MBFIs were based on the standing deposit facility rate, whilst longer tenures were based on the 364-day Treasury bill rate. Accordingly, the central bank expects lending rates of banks and MBFIs to reduce further in the immediate future, and borrowers, particularly SMEs, can expect to obtain credit facilities at reduced interest rates from banks and MBFIs. Issuing a release, the central bank will closely monitor the behavior of bank interest rates and take further measures as appropriate in the future to support economic growth given well-contained inflationary pressures.
An operation to remove oil from the ship named Sri Lankan Glory that washed ashore in Galle took place today. The oil was removed as it posed a threat to the coral reefs in the vicinity. Strong winds and rough seas in the area had set the ship adrift and it washed up on the shores of Rumasada, Galle. The Sri Lanka Navy managed to rescue all personnel on board. Marine Environment Protection Authority said the ship contained oil of about 10 to 15 tons. As coral reefs, including the Buona Vista coral, is in the vicinity, the ship and the oil it contained posed a threat to the environment. The company therefore took measures to remove the oil from the ship.
The rough seas have adversely affected the operation. If the weather is better tomorrow, we are hoping to finish the operation tomorrow. This will be done under the inspection of the Marine Environmental Protection Authority. The ship belongs to a company named INSI, but the ship was not used for like 8 months due to a technical failure.
The 220th model village, constructed under the Samita 7 Yalipipidena housing program, was vested in the public today under the auspices of the Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajith Premadasa.
This village, constructed in the Padaviya area in Anuradhapura, has been named DMR Dasagama and is the 28th model village constructed in the Anuradhapura district. The model village consists of 27 housing units and was constructed at a cost of 32.7 million rupees.
When you walk from road to road, you will get experience similar to a degree in governing the nation. If you think you want to eradicate poverty and provide relief to each and every person in this country, Sajith Premadasa is ready.
Sajith Premadasa
He is intelligent and he has no accusations against him. Do we need a leader like Lee Kuan Yew? Do you need a leader like Mahathir Mohamad or Nelson Mandela? My theory is, if we need a leader like that, it is Sajith Premadasa.
The Asian Development Bank slashed Sri Lanka's growth by 1% to 2.6% from its earlier projection of 3.6% for this year.
In the July edition of the Asian Development Outlook Supplementary Report, ADB says the growth has been slashed due to the April 21st attacks. The report adds that growth in Sri Lanka more than doubled from 1.8% in the fourth quarter of 2018 to 3.7% in the first quarter of 2019. However, it adds that the terror attacks in late April have sharply driven down tourist arrivals and will dampen growth in the rest of 2019. The report further noted that inflation is now expected to be lower in both years in Afghanistan, Bhutan and Sri Lanka.
Confusion over the maximum retail price of bottled mineral water has now emerged.
Newsfirst has received details of a confusion over the control price of bottled mineral water sold in hotels and restaurants. Due to the absence of a proper policy at the Consumer Affairs Authority, this has extended to all eating places where water is served. Selling bottled mineral water above MRP would attract monetary penalties and jail terms for the management personnel of hotels and restaurants. Conversely, it must be noted that when hotels and restaurants serve food and beverages, they also render their value-added services, which include many other facilities. As this matter is currently in litigation, Newsfirst filed this report for the attention of the people.
Host nation Sri Lanka clinched the coveted West Asia Baseball Cup 2019 against Pakistan today with a scoreline of 5-4. The tournament was organised by the Sri Lanka Baseball Federation. TV1 and the Champion Network was the media sponsor of the tournament.
The final tournament of the 14th West Asia Baseball Championship between Sri Lanka and Pakistan kicked off in Diagama today. This was the first ever international baseball tournament to be hosted by Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka clinched the coveted West Asia Baseball Cup 2019 against Pakistan today with a scoreline of 5-4. Leader of the Lankan team, Samira Ratnayaka and Sashika Dushan exhibited a cutting-edge performance, while Sashika Dushan emerged as the most talented player of the tournament. This was the second win for Sri Lanka in the coveted West Asia Baseball Cup. This year's final symbolizes a rematch of the 2017 final as the Lankans got the better of Pakistan in 2017.
ගෝල්ඩ් මෙඩල් එක අද අපි රැකගත්තා නැවත 2019 බටහිර ආසියානු කුසලානය අපි ටීම් එකක් විදිහට අද සාර්ථක වුණා ඒක තමයි කියන්න වචන නැහැ ඇත මට සමීර රත්නායක
With that, we wrap up Primetime News. I'm Bernadine Jai Singha. Take care. Good night.